This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Shui Xian smacked her head and laughed. How could I forget about Toot and the rest? Keep the Divine Realm tablet and leave the rest to me. She quickly made hand seals and golden light floated from her body as she chanted strange musical notes. A restless aura came from the sea, as if dark clouds were pressing down. Then, everyone felt a burst of suffocation in their chest. The surrounding seawater kept bubbling and began to evaporate as if it was boiling. Black shadows began to slowly appear on the surface of the sea. Yunxiao performed an incantation gesture, and the Divine Realm tablet immediately turned into a stream of light and flew back into his hand. The giant turtle was under pressure for a long time, and a boundless anger spread in its heart. A deep roar sounded from the bottom of the sea, stirring up waves that kept surging up. Its eyes turned scarlet and bloodthirsty. Its four limbs swam desperately, trying to rush up from the bottom of the sea. Its speed was much faster than before. Hoo-la! A large amount of seawater in the sky suddenly evaporated. The remaining water was also torn into two and retreated in all directions. A powerful black light struck down from the sky, shattering countless splashes of water, and struck the back of the giant turtle. Bang! The seawater around the giant turtle completely dissipated, turning into a vacuum. The entire turtle body trembled violently, and a black mark appeared on its shell. There was even a dent. Yunxiao frowned. The strength of this giant turtle was even higher than he had expected. The power of the black beam was comparable to that of the big-faced beast, but it was actually perfectly defended by the turtle's shell. Boom boom boom. A wave of turbulence came from the surface of the sea. At this moment, the entire sea was completely separated. The place where everyone was at was like an abyss in the sea, and they could directly see the vast sky. 5 relatively weaker black glows came one after another, like meteors falling into the dark night. Everyone held their breath as the light flickered, feeling the power that penetrated the world pass by them. They were so scared that their faces turned pale. The giant tortoise also saw the danger. Its scarlet eyes suddenly shrank to the size of red beans, and it hurriedly moved its 4 limbs to escape. However, the 5 world-breaking forces had already arrived and sealed off all the space. It had no way to escape. Bang! 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 The 5 streaks of black light struck the turtle's shell and stirred up a black energy that filled the sky. The energy scattered in all directions and pushed the seawater that had already retreated several hundred meters away. Under the impact of the black light, the giant tortoise's body was shaken until it was pitch black. Its entire head was spinning non-stop below in dizziness. The turtle shell was clearly sunken in, and it was charred black, with thick smoke rising from it. The space around the giant turtle was twisted and changed as it spun, making it look very strange. This? Bo Yuqing exclaimed. The full-force attack of the 6 deep-sea giant beasts couldn't kill it? There's nothing strange about it, water deity said. This type of sea turtle is one of the sea beasts with the strongest defense in the sea. Their natural talent is defense. Suddenly, Yunxiao performed an incantation gesture with 2 fingers, and a golden light shot out of his fingertips and shot down. Bang! With a soft sound, the golden light shot into the space where the giant turtle was and turned into a golden symbol. As for the giant tortoise, it disappeared in a flash of golden light.
Ah!
Water deity cried out in surprise as she looked at Yunxiao and said, "You teleported it away?" "I didn't teleport it away," Yunxiao said. "It teleported away by itself." Spatial imprint? Bo Yuqing frowned. Yunxiao nodded. "I found out just now that it wanted to fly away by itself, so I left a coordinate on its path. I just made it in time." Liao Yangbing's heart skipped a beat and she asked, "Break the sky? Where did the turtle go?" Yunxiao looked around and said, "Although there are ruins nearby, I don't think it's the core. And the lost space that Yifan mentioned must be the core of this ruin." Everyone looked into the distance. There were broken walls everywhere, corroded by the seawater, as if they had been sleeping for thousands of years. A huge ravine appeared in the center of the ruins. Although it had been a long time, one could still see the might of the past, which split the sky and split the four seas. Bo Yuqing teleported directly in front of the ravine, squatted down, and stared at it for a while before saying, "This move is the ultimate technique used to cut off the Lotus Island." There's no doubt about it. Everyone's expression was stern. Such a powerful slash mark, what kind of strength did it take to display it? Yunxiao nodded and said, "The Lotus Island should be a sealed profound artifact. It broke after being cut by this move and turned into what it is today. After losing all its spirit chi, it turned into an island." Bo Yuqing looked into the ravine and said, "Not only did this move break the seal, but it also cut directly into the earth vein at the bottom of the sea. The powerful spiritual energy here is overflowing from here. It's such a pity to waste this land of spiritual energy." Yunxiao suddenly said, "I understand. This move was originally cut out from the earth vein." From the earth vein? What? Yi Fan was confused. Did that person enter the earth vein first? "I can sense where the giant turtle went," Yunxiao said with a smile. "That space is not far below here." The spiritual chi did not seem to be from the seabed, but from the lost space. "Yi Fan, use your Noah's boat to go over." "All right." Yi Fan replied. A golden light flashed in his hand and Noah's ship appeared. It kept growing and became tens of meters long. Everyone jumped in. The battleship started moving, and ancient manhwa characters floated out of the body of the battleship, like a fairy scattering flowers. Boom. With a loud sound, the entire warship turned into a golden light and disappeared in front of the gully, passing through layers of space. The next moment, the warship appeared again, but what appeared before everyone was a dark and gloomy world. This is Wufu. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked around in shock. On the boundless land below, there were lonely boulders scattered around like tombs, telling the loneliness of countless years. "Is this place really the former palace of Donghai?" the courtier asked in surprise. "The master of the sea lives in a place like this?" "The palace should be the ruins above," Bo Yuqing said solemnly. "And this place is the place the palace is guarding, the place where the rainbow stone is sealed." Shui Xian was puzzled. "It's just a stone, why does it need such a big seal?" Even though the forest of the sea was also sealed by Father, it's still very ordinary. Yi Fan was slightly disappointed. Looking at this place, it's completely a barren land. It's impossible for there to be an opportunity to become a deity. "I'm afraid I've come for nothing." He looked at Yunxiao, who was a little dazed, and asked in surprise, "Big brother Yunxiao, what's wrong?" Everyone turned their heads and looked at Yunxiao, only to see him staring at the land in the distance with a shocked look on his face. They could not help but follow his gaze. On the ground not far away, a few lines could be vaguely seen, which seemed to be a formation. However, in the dust-covered years, it had already become dilapidated and difficult to recognize. "What, is there a problem with this formation?" Bo Yuqing frowned. Gulp. Yunxiao felt his throat go dry. He gulped, then a light flashed between his eyebrows, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of the crowd. It was Formation Master Pu Jinshan. "Take a look." Yunxiao pointed at the array and said, "Can you recognize this array?" Pu Jinshan felt dizzy. Every time, he was summoned and called for no reason. He gradually guessed his situation. It was very likely that Yunxiao had a legendary supreme-grade, profound artifact that could form a world of its own, but he found it hard to accept. He glanced at the people on the warship and felt a powerful aura. He sucked in a cold breath and quickly looked in the direction Yunxiao was pointing. After staring at the formation for a while, Pu Jinshan's brows seemed to be locked, and it took a long time to untie them. He couldn't help but turn into a ray of light and fly over. He landed in the formation and began to observe it carefully. Everyone's heart tightened. They wanted to stop him, but it was too late. They were afraid that there was something strange in the array and that an accident would happen. Yunxiao's vigilance was raised to the highest level as well. He flew directly above the array, in case Pu Jinshan was in trouble. Arg! This formation. Pu Jinshan suddenly cried out, his face filled with shock. He looked at the lines in front of him in disbelief, revealing a look of horror. Yunxiao's face immediately turned serious as he said in a serious voice, as expected, you also think so? Pu Jinshan licked his lips and kneeled down with a plop. He almost wanted to kowtow and growl, it must be, definitely. It's the long-lost four-god ceiling formation. His eyes were spewing fire as he roared, who is it? Who had destroyed the formation? God damn it. He was a sinner of history. I'll definitely tear the person who destroyed it into pieces. He looked at the broken formation map on the ground and suddenly burst into tears, beating his chest and stamping his feet. Everyone's face darkened. They felt that there was another lunatic. Bo Yuqing's eyes flashed with fear as he muttered to himself, for God ceiling formation, how could there be a four-god ceiling formation here? It's just a piece of agarine, could it be? A thought flashed through his mind, and he couldn't help but tremble. At the same time, Yunxiao looked at him, and when their eyes met, they immediately understood each other's thoughts. They had the same idea. Yunxiao's face darkened. With a teleportation, he appeared next to Pu Jinshan and put him into the Divine Realm tablet, then tried to leave again. Suddenly, there was a poppy sound, as if a water bubble had burst. Under the pressure of an unusual force, Yunxiao's teleportation failed. Not good. Save him. Bo Yuqing was the first to react. While everyone was still at a loss, they heard the sound of a sword. An unparalleled sword intent pierced toward the ground, shattering everything. Boom. The sword intent struck the sky above the four gods ceiling formation, and a barrier appeared to block the sword chi. It then burst into countless broken sword lights. This time, everyone reacted, and their expressions changed drastically. It was peaceful just now without any warning. How did a barrier suddenly appear? After Bo Yuqing's sword intent collapsed, Yunxiao's expression turned stern as well. At the first moment, he struck out with his ice sword, and the sword technique, Starlight, rose into the air and turned into a pillar of sword chi, blasting at the place where Bo Yuqing's sword had cut. His eyes were extremely fierce, and in an instant, he found the tiny cracks in the enchantment that Bo Yuqing's sword chi had made. Boom boom boom. The power of the barrier instantly collapsed. Yunxiao turned into a beam of light and rushed out. Suddenly, four terrifying auras came from four different directions. Four different colored pillars of light shot up into the sky, causing the ground to shake. The four-colored light was constantly transforming into all sorts of strange phenomena. There were flowers, trees, insects, fish, birds, beasts, and all sorts of massive ancient beasts. Yunxiao returned to Noah's ship in an instant and shouted, "Let's go." Yi Fan was also shocked by the scene in front of him. It was not until Yunxiao roared that he came back to his senses and hurriedly cast all kinds of incantations. Rays of golden light lit up on the battleship, and all kinds of rule force flew out, causing the space to shake. It was about to break through the air and leave. All of a sudden, the four pillars of light disappeared, and four strange monsters of different shapes and sizes appeared. They emitted a monstrous aura, and one of them was the giant turtle that had been forced to run away by the deep-sea giant beast. The four giant beasts were chasing each other in the sky. One of them looked like a rooster, but it crowed like a phoenix. Its tail was like a colorful broom. Seeing that Noah's ship was about to break through, the tail of this chicken-like monster flashed and disappeared in the sky. The next moment, it appeared directly above Noah's ship, and its two claws became huge, grabbing the ship with a bang. Boom boom boom. Everyone on the battleship felt a huge tremor, and they all fell from side to side. Yi Fan's expression also changed. He said in shock, What kind of monster is this? Bo Yuqing's eyes almost popped out as he screamed in fear, damn, this must be fake. An ancient true spirit four-eyed bird? Yunxiao was also mesmerized. He recognized the bird's shape as well. It was the halcyon bird, one of the ancient true spirits. It had the shape of a chicken, the cry of a phoenix, and the tail of a broom. It had 2 pupils in its eyes, so it was called Halcyon. The rest of the people were even more dumbstruck, their minds instantly going blank. The ancient true spirit reappeared in the human world? How could they fight this? No matter how he fought, he would still be dead. Shui Xian was the calmest of them all. After a brief moment of shock, her eyes flickered with golden light and she said sternly, "It's indeed fake. Although I can't see its true form, this 4-eyed bird is indeed an illusion." Who? Everyone heaved a heavy sigh of relief and their frightened hearts calmed down. But Yunxiao's face was still solemn. Although Water Deity's Eye of Truth had not reached the great success stage, ordinary illusions could not block the divine ability of Extreme Eye at all, which was enough to show that this fake 4-eyed bird was by no means a simple person. Motherfucker. Who asked you to act as a true spirit to scare people? Bo Yuqing was furious, his sword chi directly sweeping out. Wailing sword rain wind evil tune. A vast ocean of sword energy appeared and slashed at the 4-eyed bird. Feiming's face also darkened, and he raised his Wuying sword. All living beings behead the stupa. Although his sword intent was not as high as Bo Yuqing's, he was still an 8-stars martial emperor. Moreover, he was a sword maniac who had immersed himself in the sword Dao all his life. With all his might, he slashed down with his endless comprehension of the sword Dao. There was still an obsession in Fei Ming's heart, which was to draw out his sword and see how big the gap was in the face of Bo Yuqing's wailing sword. The 2 sword intents clashed in the air, but it was clear that the wailing sword rainwind was far stronger than the all-being's stupa. The 4-eyed bird let out a phoenix-like cry and let out a long cry in the sky, as if it had traveled through time. Hearing this, the other 3 strange beasts roared and rushed over. The giant turtle was the slowest and fell behind. Its shell was still black, and the traces of being bombarded by the deep-sea giant beast had not disappeared. Woof. The 4-eyed bird's long cry was mournful in the air. The 2 sword intents slashed directly on its body, and a large number of 7-colored feathers fell and scattered in the sky. At this moment, the exotic beast running in the front was actually 1-legged, shaped like an ox, and huge. Its entire body was dark black. After jumping a few times in the air, it stomped hard and directly slammed its head into the battleship. As its huge body charged forward, the entire space trembled with a loud rumble. Another one? Bo Yuqing was shocked. It looks like it's a true spirit too. I'd like to see if his head is harder than my hammer. A cold, mocking look flashed in Yunxiao's eyes. His body continued to expand, turning into a huge fat man who held the heavenly hammer high. A ring of lightning stars appeared around him, and the ancient Manhwa character of the law of lightning shone between his brows. Endless lightning poured directly into the hammer, and bursts of lightning and thunder rang out. Interesting. The guest also laughed loudly. The 4 doors on his body suddenly opened, and rays of golden light burst out from his body. Countless complicated golden wheels appeared on his skin, interlocking with each other and evolving endlessly. He clenched his fists so hard that they cracked. His fists turned golden and suddenly shot out like a blazing sun. Yunxiao also filled his body with thunderbolts, then roared and smashed them on the 1-legged bull's head. Who told you to act as a true spirit to scare people? Boom. The fist radiance and the lightning bolts came crashing down. The 2 forces combined together and condensed into a rope-like force that struck the 1-legged bull's head. Bang. Boundless power exploded out. The 1-legged ox let out a miserable cry that resounded through the world and was directly sent flying. The 4-eyed bird couldn't withstand the attack of the sword chi any longer, and its feathers were almost all gone. It cried out a few times in grief, let go of its claws, and flapped its wings to escape. There was also a deer-like white beast with 4 horns on its head. Seeing its companion getting injured, it suddenly stopped, its eyes filled with shock and doubt, not daring to charge forward. Yi Fan's hands quickly formed seals, and Noah's ship started to flash with a golden light. Sit tight, we're going to travel. Pa. Suddenly, Yunxiao slapped him on the head, scattering the incantation seals that filled the sky, and Noah's ship returned to its calm state.
Ah.
Big brother Yunxiao, why did you hit me? Yifan touched his head, he was confused. Yunxiao rolled his eyes at him and said, I thought we couldn't defeat these 4 strange beasts, so I asked you to drive Noah's ship to escape. Now, it seems that we are sure to win. Why are we still running? Oh, I see. Yifan touched his forehead in embarrassment and laughed. The 4 strange beasts stood in a row, looking at the starship from a distance, all of them revealing vigilant expressions. Bo Yuqing said solemnly, I understand. In ancient times, this 4-god sealing array should have captured 4 true spirits to be the array core. However, the true spirits have long disappeared. The person who set up this array had to find 4 substitutes. But what are these 4 things? It seems to be the transformation of a profound level weapon? Shui Xian asked suspiciously. She wasn't sure, but her intuition was very strong. That's most likely the case, Yunxiao said. If you want to become the eye of the array, it can only be a profound artifact that can transform into a human form. I don't know if it was the powerful cultivators who used profound level weapons to transform directly, or if it was their own evolution over the long years. What's the difference? Bo Yuqing grinned. I'd like to see the true forms of these 4 profound armaments. You have to know that the things left behind by those almighty experts back then were all peerless treasures. Yunxiao agreed with him very much. He had the cauldron of mountain and river and 5 supreme treasures and mystic artifacts in Mount Meru, the northern dark cold star iron and the primordial astral wind in the outer space, the battlefield of ancient gods owned by the Fiend Lord, and the dragon transformation pool in the burial land, which was a natural spirit vein. Together with 7 dragon secret treasures and the dragon shell that could transform a real dragon, they were all powerful seals. However, it was a little awkward. His expression was somewhat grave as he said, if it's just a rainbow stone, would there be a need to seal it so extravagantly? He had created an independent space in the underground spiritual vein mine and used the 4-god sealing formation to suppress it. And if I'm not wrong, the Lotus Island above the palace ruins is. Yunxiao's face suddenly turned serious as he said, even the damaged lotus seat under the Xiankong Island could have been lost here.
Ah!
Shui Xian exclaimed in disbelief. Everyone's heart sank. They also felt an indescribable sense of heaviness. Bo Yuqing's pupils constricted as well. Yunxiao's speculation was reasonable. He had heard that the Lotus platform was very likely to be the eye of the formation of the Lotus Island seal above the earth vein. Otherwise, how could the Lotus throne left behind by the Sea God and the Sea Emperors be lost in the unknown sea? Opening up an independent space sealed by the 4-god sealing array, setting up the Lotus Island with Amitba as the array eye, and with the royal family of Donghai overseeing it. Could it be that such a grand arrangement was just for a rainbow stone? Bo Yuqing's face turned pale, cold sweat dripping down his back as he said in shock, You meaning Luo? The answer was almost obvious. A cold gleam flashed in Yunxiao's eyes as he said in a deep voice, there's still the most crucial point. Where did Baiming Tianlu go? Everyone was also very confused. That's right, they went out to sea because they had received Baiming Tianlu's message and wanted to come to the Eastern Sea Palace to search for treasure. However, at this moment, the scene reflected in their eyes showed that there was no treasure at all. Then, Baiming Tianlu must have deceived everyone. What about this swindler now? Liao Yangbing's face also turned ugly. They had spent so much effort and so many people had died to come here from thousands of miles away, but it turned out to be a scam. It's fine if it's just a scam, Yunxiao said, his eyes flashing. But I'm afraid of Yingluo. I'm just afraid that this is a trap. He said coldly. A sharp chill rose in everyone's heart. As Yunxiao's judgment fell, the lonely mountain rocks in the entire space seemed to be wailing in sorrow.